Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of Mind Trip. This is a very unique setup. I know it's pretty dark, you cannot see myself, but I think that's not the main goal of this to see me. But you can see the view from my hotel in Da Nang, Vietnam. Life without meaning is a unlived life, and honestly, if you don't find purpose in your life and the reason why you're doing what you're doing, to wake up every day, to try to be positive, to smile back to life, you're not living life. You just become this very old man, old woman, angry about life, pessimistic, negative. I feel there's a lot of people around me who are my age or even younger or older. When you see them complain that much about life and being negative, it's not because they're maybe like bad people. I feel it's just because they haven't like found the purpose of their life. And being in the comfort zone and thinking that living is normality, that's what's wrong. Living is not something you should take for granted as normality. It isn't really comfortable enough to say, oh, I get to live and wake up every day. But you gotta see the magic in everything. You gotta see the magic behind every little breath you're taking, behind a little action you're taking, behind any connection, any encounter, any place, any experience that you're doing. Because eventually, I feel like life is kind of like a spider web. So when you connect all the dots of all those experiences that you had, it will like make so much more sense, and you need to be aware of that in order to make sense of it. If you just live life comfortably without even looking at those signs, then life is meaningless and you will not even be able to see what's in front of your eyes anymore and what's the reason for things to happen. So once you start living that way in the present moment, but also looking forward and understanding also your past and looking for those signs, giving meaning to every step and every action that you make, your life randomly and suddenly shift. On my personal experience, I had to suffer so much to be able to be where I am today. And oh my god, this is the first time I'm probably like feeling this way in front of the camera. But it's not about me being a victim of life. It's not about me being a victim of things that happen to me. And I know there's people who live things equally, maybe worse, or, you know, I don't believe someone can live something that is worse than I did, or vice versa, because everything is so relative on the pain you can be able to handle. So, whatever I lived, it was to be lived by me and to be experienced and felt by me in the way that it will give me meaning, and that suffering will give me resilience and strength. And some other people need it some other ways. And but sometimes it just takes one very bad experience, like the most traumatic one, to make you have this consciousness shift in your mind. And when that happened to me, I lost so many things. Like I lost a sense of religion for a while. I didn't understand why things would happen the way they should happen. I didn't understand what's the meaning of life. For a moment I had this very existential crisis. uh, I feel it's so real. Like I think Descartes talked about it. Descartes was a philosopher. He talked about this construction of the human being, right, to understand what's real, what's our reality somehow, let's say. So I believe that when you take out of your life all these conceptions and you go through an existential crisis, this can happen in so many ways. But when you do that, it just gives you like a whole new perspective of life, which still you're still the same. Like all your experiences that you had before that traumatic event, you're still that person. It doesn't take out the value of what you experienced already. I don't know. Like I'm not a guru. I'm like flesh and bones. I'm a human being. I'm here just telling my story, I guess, of what's the reason behind all of this, my life. And it's just I think that you're my people, you're my audience, you're my friends, and you need to see the real me. So going back to the story, after that big event, like yeah, my perception about everything changed, and I felt quite weird, but it was like I felt invincible, if it makes sense. Like life for me was so fragile, but at the same time so magical and unique that I had to make sense of it. And making sense of it was being courageous, willing to risk, to lose it all even, because I wouldn't care. It was a very like idealistic, nihilistic approach of things, but I didn't want it to destroy my life. I just wanted to experience it more. And I started like traveling to Asia for the first time after that, and that was my first time in Nepal, and then to Vietnam, and eventually other countries after that. And during those trips, I felt so connected with myself and whatever I was experiencing. I think that people travel because they love it, because it gives a lot of emotions and novelty and curiosity, gives you, dopamine 100%. But some people travel and they want to go back home. They want to have their routines, they want to have their familiar places and faces, and it's just a little break to then go back to what they want, right? Where they belong and where they feel safe. But for me, it was the contrary. For me, it was I went that far to actually find myself at home that far, and everything that was familiar once wasn't for me anymore. And going back home for me was just a big no. And I started like idealizing this plan to just move to Asia and to experience that again. And that's how I started traveling more. And eventually I decided where I wanted to move, which now it is South Korea, as you guys know. That's also the big thing here. Like, it took me a traumatic experience to discover things about myself, to travel to the other part of the world alone. I did this all alone. And everything that I have today, maybe compared to people, it's not a lot, but for me, it is a lot right now in this present moment. What I have is a lot. Like all the people that I know here, all the connections that I made, all the jobs that I do, everything, all my reality in question was made by me. What you see right now, only me. Nobody helped me. I did it for myself. I did it alone. And that, man, that if you're not confident enough to see that for yourself, then your life will be a mess. And that's something too. That's something too I wanted to cover. Like, being confident is not about pretending to be. I think being confident comes from self-love. And that's why I was talking before about this kind of thing about connections and projections, and how a lot of people project a lot in romantic loves. Because somehow I feel they might forget themselves if they do. If they jump first in that romantic project, they're not thinking about their own project as a person, as a human being, which is the self-love. And I know it sounds cliche, but self-love is just being able to do things on your own without needing the help from anyone, genuinely being confident because it's engraved on you. Because everything you do, every action you're taking, you're doing it with confidence. Confidence is not the guy who will come and just pretend he's the best out of the room. No, that's just being a jerk. You know what I mean? I admire a lot of people around me, and you should like look up for those people who inspire you to be better persons, to be better professionals, to be better friends, to be probably better lovers. But look out for people that inspire you, that do something to you. Sometimes, and I can tell that a lot, sometimes these people can trigger you something, and they can trigger you things because these things are the triggerings are the things you need to work on. So very confident people, very like light, shiny people, they can like bring this dark side of you. And so when you encounter them, you could like be very shy. You could be like kind of like tempting not to be friendly or things like that because you are being triggered. You gotta be careful there to trust yourself, not to be fooled by your darkness side, and just surrender to it and welcome all the positivity and the energy that you need to feed your spiritual being and your mind. This is something that I realized with time when I was probably younger, was less confident. Nowadays, I'm in a stage where in the contrary, I feel that I do that to some people around me. And I'm very empathic. I can feel this energy so well. So whenever I feel a very bad energy around me, my body reacts instantly. And it's like I get sick. It's just I can't. And I know how to put my boundaries nowadays. So it's like when I don't feel comfortable somewhere, I will just go step back and very respectfully and very diplomatically. Always be respectful to people. Always be diplomatic. I feel values. You gotta carry with you a good set of values, guys. If you don't have a good set of values in your life, it's gonna be difficult to make every choice and be that confident person that you want to be. because when everything falls apart, you need that set of values. And these values can come from a lot of different places. They can come from religion, maybe, I don't know, some philosophy that you have. It's just something that you need to find by yourself. And a lot of times, this is definitely religion. So if that works for you, and if those values work for you, just do it. Stick to them. Just believe in them. And therefore, believe in yourself. I think I'm gonna wrap up this session because it's the first one that I do, and I think I've been all over the place. I'm actually a bit sick, and I'm also very tired. This was more like a test kind of thing, but it ended up to be very nice, and even for me, I like this format. I hope you like it too. I will make more of these mind trip vlogs. So please stay connected, subscribe if you want to see more things. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and thank you for your constantly support. If you're a new subscriber, thank you for watching me. Bye bye.